It's a bomb.
A Predator's wrist gauntlet is probably more useful to him than Robin is to Batman. A proof of this is that the device is quite literally grafted onto the Predator so that they don't lose it under any circumstance. It serves the hunters as a tool as well as an offensive and defensive weapon, and houses several other useful things that help in its hunt and communications. And of course, there's also the self-destruct component. But there's much more to a wrist gauntlet than meets the eye, and in this video, we'll dive deep into this little piece of Predator technology that is indispensable. Additionally, we will explore the self-destruct component in more detail and answer questions like if it can be deactivated once it's been set in motion. Let's begin, shall we? Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. What is a wrist gauntlet and how does it work? The Yautja wrist gauntlet, or as some like to call it, the wrist bracer or wrist computer, is one of the most useful tools that a Yautja uses in their hunts. The wrist gauntlet is directly linked to a predator's biohelmet, giving them total control over its functions. As the name suggests, a predator wears the device on his wrist, which makes it easier to use. Additionally, it doubles as an offensive and defensive weapon, so it's basically the Yautja version of a Swiss Army knife, but way more cool and with more features than you can think of. Furthermore, the wrist gauntlet also houses a powerful self-destruct device. I'll talk about this and other awesome features later in the video in more detail. But the question that remains is, how is a wrist gauntlet controlled? And the short answer is buttons. Lots of them. The control panel of the gauntlet has more buttons than a rudimentary spaceship. With just a click, the Yautjas can become invisible by activating their cloak, which honestly sounds like what Harry Potter would do if he was in a sci-fi movie. A few Yautjas can even control their plasma casters and shoulder cannons with the device. Having said that, it isn't just a fancy remote control that you carry around to show off, it also doubles as a power source for all of the high-tech weapons and tools that the Yautjas use. But at the end of the day, a wrist gauntlet is a piece of technology that needs to be taken care of, or else it'll burn out. And by care, I don't mean protection from heat and water like our mere mortal smartphones, but you know, if a Yautja goes all trigger happy with his wrist gauntlet, the power will drain faster than a speeding xenomorph charging at them. And that's the end for the Yautja. So they have to be pretty careful not to let it run on empty. Fortunately, the Predator engineers probably thought of this issue when they were designing the gauntlet and ensured that it could be recharged from any common power source, even those that humans use. But since the gauntlets are such an important part of a Yautja's day job of hunting and collecting gruesome trophies, they can't afford to lose it under any circumstance. So they go to extreme lengths to keep them close, including the grafting of this very device onto their wrists. You know, like surgical grafting, so that the device is connected to the very nervous system of a Yautja. While it mostly means a death sentence for Yautja to remove their gauntlets, some, like the fugitive Predator, could remove their wrist gauntlets without a scratch. But then we all know what a great movie The Predator was, so we'll just leave it at that. Now, as promised, let's talk about the various parts of the gauntlet before we dive into the self-destruct feature. SATCOM. Firstly, it serves as a satellite communication device that is powerful enough to send communications across galaxies, which allows the universe's foremost hunter to communicate with friends millions of light years away, probably chatting about the latest hunting grounds and comparing trophy collections. Furthermore, the SATCOM feature also includes the capacity to project holographs, as we saw in the later Predator movies, or sometimes the entire map of a building or the solar system. But bear in mind, we're just talking about what we've seen in the movies, games, and comics. Imagine all the holographic projections the Gauntlet facilitates. I mean, yes, they use the device to search for enemies and hunting grounds and whatnot via the 3D scans, but if a Predator felt naughty and wanted to FaceTime his girlfriend on Yautja Prime late at night, he could probably do that. Energy Fléchette. The Energy Fléchette is a nifty little short-range energy projector weapon that comes packed with some wrist gauntlets. It's like a miniaturized version of the plasma caster built right into the gauntlet. It can often be found mounted on the gauntlet and can fire rather powerful energy bolts, but of course, they're nothing compared to what a plasma caster can do. Now, most Predator weapons and tools are customized, and even the Energy Fléchettes can be customized to have a folding mechanism so that it can be tucked away when not in use. Speaking of variations, some Energy Fléchette models offer a single shot option, while others go all out with a rapid fire capability. Another downside of the Fléchette is that it lacks independent target tracking and an integrated laser sight, making it difficult for Yautja to use it to play a deadly version of tag with their prey. But then again, it is supposed to serve as a close range weapon, so there's no real need for a targeting system. Power Punch Gloves. The Power Punch Glove, also called the arm cladding or steel wrist shield, serves as a turbocharger for a predator's punch, turning them into the intergalactic version of Muhammad Ali on space steroids. Its functioning was peculiar in the sense that it was almost like a metallic bridge that extended from the gauntlet whenever the predator commanded it, possibly through the nervous system connection between him and the gauntlet. It would then connect with the predator's brass knuckles worn on their hand. With the Power Punch Glove, these predators could throw punches that make holes in solid concrete. Never mind the effect of such a punch thrown at a human. They would probably shatter like a house of cards. One example of this power move went down in the sewers of Gunnison, Colorado in the movie. The predator, named Wolf, after fighting with a bunch of the slimy beasts commanded by a pred alien, put the Power Punch Glove to good use and blasted a hole in the sewer ceiling, allowing him to chase down the biometallic creatures. Kuchad. The 2018 movie The Predator featured another addition to the wrist gauntlet in the form of a Kuchad, which basically means it got its own advanced AI. When attached to the Yautja's wrist gauntlet, this little guy seems to have a mind of its own, but it doesn't always seem to be of the most help. When Quinn McKenna was fleeing, the gauntlet shimmered with blue light, after which the front portion dispensed a small orb named Shifter, which basically was a portable version of a cloaking device. But that served as a disadvantage for the Predator. Nevertheless, when you detach the Kuchad from the wrist gauntlet, it transforms into a portable mini-computer. Furthermore, it doubles as a weapon in a similar fashion to an energy fléchette, but instead of shooting bolts of energy, the Kuchad fires razor-sharp discs that can penetrate the hide of a predator and slice through human bones. And if you needed just one more purpose for the device to serve, it could also be used as a small storage unit. The most notable feature of the wrist gauntlet: self-destruction. We all know what the Yautja do when they're in a tight spot and facing imminent doom. Of course, they activate their ultimate offensive weapon, the self-destruct device built into their wrist gauntlet. Once the self-destruct device is activated, it goes through a charging phase that takes a few precious seconds. Then a countdown starts ticking on the digitized display, reminding everyone that things are about to go boom. Mike Harrigan from Predator was smart in this regard. If we talk about the explosion itself, it's a bit of a mystery wrapped in a blue-tinted mushroom cloud. Although it's not nuclear in nature, it can still give humans a serious case of radiation sickness, which is what happened to the Governators Dutch after the first Predator film. The explosion might have something to do with the Yautja's plasma caster technology, and while some fans like to address the self-destruct device as the wrist nuke, it's not quite correct. Interestingly, the self-destruct device allows the Yautja to choose the level of destruction they want to subject the region to. They can either level an area of rainforest covering more city blocks than you can count, or they can go for the minimalist approach and simply vaporize themselves with minimal collateral damage. I believe they have this feature because of the Yautja Code of Honor. You see, they don't kill prey who are unarmed, weak, old, pregnant, etc., which basically means prey that's not worthy. So if there's a chance that they would be killing some unworthy and undeserving creatures because of the explosion, they would choose to tone down the destruction. However, they still vaporize themselves because it's indispensable. If they don't destroy themselves, the knowledge of their presence becomes public, or worse, their precious technology could fall into the wrong hands, which is any hands that are not Yautja hands, in case you were wondering. Furthermore, the self-destruct component can be removed from their gauntlets in case they don't wish to turn to dust, or rather vapor. However, this move is pretty rare and is reserved for those rare occasions when the Yautja decides that causing large-scale mayhem is more important than avoiding the humiliation of capture, or maybe during times when the predator wants to fake his own death before turning into a bad blood predator. You know, those bad guys who don't follow the code of honor and hunt for the fun of it, including unworthy prey. Additionally, the Yautja starships have their own self-destruct devices, but cranked up to a whole new level. One of these nearly wiped out an entire city in the comics. These ships' self-destruct devices can either implode the ship, erasing any trace of its existence, or go all out with an explosion matching the scale of a massive thermonuclear explosion. Self-destruct devices in movies. In the original Predator film from 1987, Dutch engages in a fierce battle with the Jungle Hunter. Outsmarting his extraterrestrial adversary, Dutch manages to crush the Predator with a massive log using his combat skills. As the defeated Predator faces imminent demise, he activates his self-destruct device, but Dutch senses the impending explosion and escapes just in the nick of time. The resulting blast is nothing short of cataclysmic, obliterating a portion of the jungle equivalent to 300 city blocks. In Predator 2, we had the City Hunter, a new predator wreaking havoc in the urban jungle. In a heart-pounding pursuit, Harrigan, played by Danny Glover, finds himself entangled with the City Hunter. As they both plummet off a building, the City Hunter activates his self-destruct device, initiating a countdown to destruction. However, Harrigan manages to swiftly sever the Predator's arm using the smart disc, effectively neutralizing the threat. Interestingly, the self-destruct mechanism exhibits a curious malfunction as it ceases to function in subsequent films within the franchise. While the main plot of Alien vs. Predator did not have any self-destruction, it did show some of it. In a flashback sequence, 3 Predators valiantly battle hordes of aliens atop a pyramid. Overwhelmed by the enemy's sheer numbers, the Predators reluctantly activate their self-destruct devices, knowing it's their last resort. This iteration of the self-destruct mechanism appears larger and more devastating than the one witnessed in the original film. Additionally, towards the film's climax, the Scar Predator removes his self-destruct device within the egg chamber, setting it to detonate within minutes. Escaping just in time, Scar and Lex, played by Sana Lathan, witness the device decimate everything in its wake, leading to the collapse of the surface. In Aliens vs. Predator Requiem, the Wolf Predator chooses to activate the self-destruct mechanism on the deceased Predator named Bull while on board the Predator ship, which destroys the ship and everything in it. Unfortunately, the 2010 film Predator and the 2018 film The Predator did not show any self-destruct devices. Can the self-destruct device be deactivated once it's been activated? So we know that a predator can activate the self-destruct device of another predator, just as Wolf did with bulls. But can the self-destruct device be deactivated once it's been activated? Well, yes. At least that's what happens if you slice off the entire wrist that houses the gauntlet and, by extension, the self-destruct component. However, the question that remains is, can a predator do it without having his body parts severed? Well, there's been no evidence in comics, games, or movies that this is possible, and it's doubtful that they would have such a feature. I mean, the need to kill themselves arises when there's no other way out. They don't wish to get captured and believe that an honorable suicide is the best way to go. Now, predators are apex hunters who are supposed to know what they're doing, and if they figure that the time has come to use the self-destruct device, that should be a final and unchangeable decision. So I don't think the self-destruct device can be deactivated once it's been activated. However, on the off chance that it needs to be deactivated, a safety measure would be to sever the arm. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what yours is on the subject down below. I'd love to read it down in the comments. That's all for today's video, but thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.